Another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince. I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, we are in week 6. How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good.
You had a bye week. You had a bye week.
We didn't lose.
Any injuries?
No injuries. Everybody came out. Well, we do have injuries, actually. C.J. Mosley, hamstring, and it looks like Gerard Davis that we got as a free agent, he's not ready yet. So we do have some injuries.
All right, well, still a positive week for you, right? You can get past those injuries, a positive week for you. So kudos to the JETS.
When you don't lose, it's always a positive. I can't say that about all teams in week 6.
Yeah, the Patriots, no doubt. So, Stevie D, one thing that, we used to do the segment, I have to get this off my chest, but it goes beyond having to get something off my chest, right? We had a week, right? Let's talk about this for a minute. We had a week where there was so much just turmoil in the NFL.
No, what are you talking about?
Could there ever be anything Roger Goodell related? Could there ever be turmoil? But you kind of thought you were getting past that, right? Things are quieting down. You had John Gruden, who was kind of fading to the back, right? We still want to know about these 600,000 emails, right? And then the Washington football team, who's in the center of this, right? The Washington football team, they decide, here's a novel idea. This will take all of anybody's doubts about what we've done in the past that's been shady. Let's go ahead and honor, which we should have done a long time ago, mind you, right? But let's go ahead and honor Sean Taylor. Just pop it up out of the blue, right? Oh, by the way, let me call the family, 2-3 days? Aha, there's Terry. Hey, Terry, how are you?
Hello, Terry. Hopefully you're having a better day today than you did.
Whoa. We're talking about the Washington football team. So then they decided to tell the family 2 or 3 days prior?
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's like,
hey, can you guys make it? We're gonna go ahead and honor Sean. Can you make it? I mean, what? Yeah. I don't know what goes into the minds of these people.
I got nothing for you. Like, literally, I got nothing because it's so I don't understand it. It's
look who's on.
Oh,
look. you want to hear some more stories, don't you?
Yeah, well, we got to get him on. We got to get more on.
That'll be a 3-hour podcast to listen to.
That's okay.
Oh, there's some goodies. Oh, boy. But, yeah, I mean, seriously. What do you do? To me, that's more disrespectful. And I would have rather you not done anything at all and maybe wait and plan it out. But you think that this is going to work out? Right? The family already complained that you only gave me 3 days.
When you stop and think about this, in any other normal organization, there's thoughtful planning first and foremost, right? Because you're retiring a number. I'm sure he does. Oh, yeah. Right? You got all this planning that goes on. You want to get it out to the fans. You want the buzz around it. You want to bring up all the hype and excitement. This is Sean T, right? Sean Taylor. I mean, we all know the story of how he got robbed of his life and somebody. Yeah. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about.
I gave it to you.
Yeah, and that's the respect for Sean Taylor, right? And so,
except for he did that cheap shot against Brian Moorman, but anyways, go ahead.
You got a uniform on, but at any rate, right? So you go through all these steps as an organization to promote a retirement of a number. This is not a ring of honor. This is a number retirement. If you look at the Washington football team, they retired 2 or 3 numbers prior to this event. Why would you all of a sudden 3-4 days before say, oh, you know what, we're going to do it?
Yep.
It stinks.
It does.
And it's
110%.
Another mark on the Washington football team, on Dan Snyder, on everybody in that organization. I don't know if I can necessarily blame the NFL. Maybe the
no, it's all the Washington football team.
Right.
But everything that we're in the middle of this is the Washington football team, right? It goes back to Bruce Allen. It goes to the cheerleaders. It's all them. It goes to the sexual harassment that I'm sure somewhere mired in those 600,000 emails is something about, we need to keep this on the low.
Well, you said it last week. In seriousness, you said we're going to be talking about this segments over the next several weeks or months because everything is going to start coming out. Now, we never thought when we recorded the week before that we'd be talking about Sean Taylor's number retirement ceremony. We thought we were going to get some, good emails on, so-and-so, an owner or another coach.
Oh, that's the
players, some good juicy stuff. No, we have to talk to you about really the embarrassment of an organization from a standpoint of how you did Sean Taylor wrong.
So to that point, right, and we laugh and joke about, sitcoms, TV shows, what have you, right, great episodes. This is the same thing, right? Just be prepared for this soap opera, right, that you're going to have a great episode and then it's going to go down a little bit, but there's still something there, right? There's something there, right, which we have to talk about. The Washington football team is an utter disgrace. Sorry, Mark B. They're an utter disgrace right now, what they're doing out there. Daniel Snyder's a disgrace. Bruce Allen's a disgrace. I know he's gone, but it's still Bruce Allen's a disgrace. If I'm Chase Young, maybe I want to go up to the 716. We will welcome you. Right? Yeah, that's right. You heard it. We will welcome you.
How do we go?
Everything goes
in on this.
Everything goes there. It's all about the red, white, and blue. But let's move into game action. I see you chomping at the bit, but I really want to talk about. It was a good game. It was an exciting. Well, no, it was a good fourth quarter at the 2-minute mark, and I'm talking about the Patriots and the Cowboys. I mean,
that was a wild sequence of events.
It was. When Diggs had that interception, it took you to the house. I was like, wow. Game, set, and match.
Yes.
If you blinked, if you said, they got it, let me go get a beer, they got it, let me go do whatever, and you came right back, you're like, wait, what just happened here?
When I tell you the F-bombs that were being dropped in my household.
There he is. That's what I'm talking about. Bill's Mafia coming in deep, coming in strong.
Can you stay focused?
Terry can't wait. Terry, it's coming, Terry. It's coming.
It's going to come, all right, Terry. Yeah, and I'm going to be harsh.
Hey,
I'm going to be harsh.
No, don't listen to a hater. But go ahead. We're talking about Diggs took it to the house.
And then, literally, after the kickoff, the first play, I couldn't believe what I watched. From Diggs, and I don't know who the safety was. I said, are you kidding me? And I just dropping F-bombs, and then the score reverted back to what it was before.
I don't know what Diggs did because it's like he undercut it, expected over the top help, but you're running right at the guy. You're running with the guy. You guys are going to bump into each other. So how did you expect that? That was crazy. The best was the final play of the game. Because CeeDee Lamb catches the touchdown, right? High stepping to the corner of the end zone, a little showboating, right? And you could see. Then you had the defender from the Patriots, just because of the high step, because you're losing the game, just a massive shove, like 2 yards into the end zone, pushes him out of bounds. And CeeDee Lamb responds with a taunt that we can't call because the game is over, and he waves goodbye. Perfect timing for that. So, Mike McCarthy once again escapes being called a laughing stock in the league and is on pace for Coach of the Year, bringing the I had to get that in there because
I know, but
I struggle with this guy.
If you go with the record, and some people go by record for Coach of the Year and not the X's and O's and what you do as a coach. If you look at his record and say, Mike McCarthy, Coach of the Year, 5-1. But if you watch the games, you're just like, Oh my God! If it wasn't for the players, he could be 1-5 or 2-4.
So are you saying my prediction may come true?
As odd as that sounds, yes, it could come true because who's voting? A bunch of clowns. So
take that into effect. You're playing in the NFC East. Take that into effect. I mean, everything is stacked in their favor. I mean, we have another view. Look at that. Hey, Cynthia. So you take that into effect, more and more Mike McCarthy, Coach of the Year.
I'm out. I'm just telling you that right now. I am out. If he wins Coach of the Year, I'm out.
All right. So everybody's waiting on this one.
There's time limits. Just so you know, there's time limits.
Okay.
Time limits.
So when the play happened, I was good with it.
The 76-yard touchdown run?
No.
That the defense gave up?
No. The 101-yard touchdown, kickoff touchdown. They got called back as a holding.
Yeah, not that play.
But no. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about that one too. But when the play happened, I was good with it, right? Many members of Bills Mafia were good with it. Those frauds that were saying horrible decision, dumb coach, blah, blah, blah.
Kick the field goal?
Yes. What? They were like, I'll kick the field goal. You don't.
14 inches? You can't get 14 inches, you don't deserve to win the game.
But you look at this and you say, I trust my offensive line. I trust my quarterback. It's late in the game, and we're not playing for ties, right? Why put it into the hands of a coin toss when you can go get that first down? You're inside the 5. You're close to getting into the end zone. You go for it. I have no problem. And what I have stated all along, great call, poor execution. And that's what happened, right? I don't regret it. 10 times out of 10, I'm going for it, all right? However, we need to make sure that we have practiced this now, right? We've seen that this didn't really work out well. Why didn't it? And you go forward. Outside of that.
Well, if I go back to that play, the one thing that I think Josh Allen on that play, if he watches tape on other quarterbacks that are successful on those type of plays, and Tom Brady really from a quarterback sneak perspective.
There's your guy again.
How many times has he burned teams on 4th and inches with that? And I thought when I watched the replay of the play, Josh Allen came back to go and try and hit a hole instead of just snapping the ball and just kind of pushing your center and staying there to get the inches and call it a day. And, when he went back, he lost his footing. He slipped. Obviously, the play's over at that point in time. But I think he has to look at how to run a QB sneak in that fashion.
I don't disagree with you. If we go back and we're really examining that play, go back to the 3rd down play, right? The 3rd down play, Allen runs out of the pocket, runs to his left, right? Sees an opening. He was a little indecisive, right? And then once he realized he had it, then he took off, and now that gave that half second, gave the defense to come up. Mind you, Cole Beasley is running right towards in the back of the end zone, wide open, right?
Yeah, but once he made that decision to head down the run, he wasn't picking up Cole Beasley at that point.
Yeah, but you could have seen Beasley start to come open. He may not have been as wide open as he was, but he could have thrown him open.
But Josh Allen doesn't throw well to that side of the field.
That is true. That's going to his left. Right. But here's my thing there, and it's not just on Josh. When Allen went, he did the leap, right? Obviously, he couldn't stretch the ball out because the other defender was there and he was protecting the ball. I respect that, right? When that play is over, McDermott calls the timeout, right? First thing that McDermott should have done, because initially it was called a first down, and then blown down from or called down from upstairs, they said, no, he's short, right? McDermott, first thing, I want a measurement. Stops the clock. You don't have to waste a timeout. while they go and they measure, right? You have your booth upstairs. They're in your earpiece. We're good. We're not good, right? You still could call a timeout after that point.
Right.
You bring Allen to the side. All right, what's the play? I don't know. If we're short, we're going for it, right? And I want to do a QB sneak. Not a problem. That means coming out, you're not going to be lining up out of shotgun, right? But you also, are you this far? Are you this far? Or are you like this? You remember they did the measurement. They had to take the credit card out and put the credit card between the ball. And how far are you? So that tells you what you have to do. They didn't do that, right? That's not on Allen. That's on McDermott, right? Because McDermott is that fourth down, that 2 minute, that's where his job is, not Dable, anybody else. So he failed there. Then when you decide, okay, we're going to go for it, why are you starting out of shotgun and then going under center, right? You've just given the defense time to adjust, maybe adjust their splits, maybe, change exactly the formation they're going to come in. We have seen far too often, and you used your boy, and you like to talk about your boy. I get it, right? But when Brady goes under center, typically it is bang, bang, right? They give nobody any time to adjust. You need to be in your spot ready to go. And that's how he gets the yard and a half, 2 yards, because he lines up under center. There's not a delayed count. He's not doing checks or anything else like that. Bam, gone. He's got the yard, right? I think that's L's boy too. So I think you and Lamar both have a love affair with TB12. But I digress. I digress. So that wasn't done. And the other thing that I was telling you, Stevie D, just from what I'm observing, right, is that for Josh, we have seen him take great strides over the last few years, right? He has quieted many of the naysayers and the doubters and the haters that have been out there with his play, right? But the one thing that I think that he still needs to work on, and that could be just the lack of experience being in that situation, is that I think that when you have the high pressure pack type situation, the game is still too fast for him. Okay. We saw that in the Houston game, late in the game, right? Trying to make a play. Everything's going so fast, right? And then all of a sudden you just try to do whatever you could do, right? I reference back to Montana, right? And you heard Montana when they were getting ready in the huddle, getting ready for the big drive against the Bengals in the Super Bowl, right? I'm going to call it that because that's what it was called for that. Montana is in the huddle, and as he's in the huddle, he's talking about the people that are in the stands, right? Not about the fact that I have to drive 80 yards against the Bengals, right? He's talking about, hey, there's John Candy, right? And the players, they kind of gravitated to the fact that he was just so calm, so cool, so collected that, they just knew that he was going to do this. And when you look at Allen, right? Allen, everything seemed rushed, right? There was a movie where in this movie you had the player and he just in that time frame, everything's happened in bang, bang, but in that time frame, he was able to scan, right? He saw the knuckles of one defender and he knew that if those knuckles turned white, that he was putting pressure because he needed to get a good get off for a blitz. So he knew that the blitz was coming there. He saw another player and he was doing something, that was kind of a tell, and he scanned the whole field. That's the same thing that Montana had. That's the same thing where I'm saying that Josh Allen needs to improve. How do you improve? Only by experience. But if he was there, if he was there and it had slowed down for him, he would have seen that end was crashing down. And in as much as he likes to go to his left, that wasn't going to be the right thing. To your point, right, if he would have seen that, he could have surmised, okay, let me see what the tackles are doing here over the center, all right? There's nobody heads up. I can go straight over his back, right? Maybe there is somebody heads up. Let me see what that linebacker is doing. Is that linebacker starting to take steps to come, to fill that gap? You can see that, and it slows down so that you can go and do what you have to do. Time, experience, He's going to need to see more of those situations, be faced with more of those situations, so it does slow down for like a Montana, right? And I think he'll be better off. The other thing, and I'm sorry because this just kind of triggered, the other thing where this comes into play, when you watched Allen and you watched the offensive game call from Brian Dable, which just to put a quick sub note to this, very, very heartfelt sympathy and prayers to Brian Dable, who in a very short period of time, I think it was a matter of 3 weeks, lost both his grandmother and then his grandfather. So, that was really tough for him, and hearts and prayers or wishes go out to Brian Dable.
Yeah, it's a former member of the Jet family that goes out for us as well.
Okay, so
he coached with the Jets.
The Jets. For all of our podcast viewers and listeners, Stevie D likes to associate the Jets with every person known to man who does something positive, right? If they don't do anything positive,
did he not go on his coaching career with the Jets? I'm not making it up. He coached many years within the Jets organization.
How did he do that?
One and done.
How did he do that?
He did well. I mean, he was a low-level guy. He's like, go get the water and the football's on the side.
And now you're going to disparage my offensive coordinator by calling him the water boy? What is he, Adam Sandler out there?
No, Brian Dable was a very young, up-and-coming coach in the beginning part of his career with the Jets. Okay. But he was there for more than a few years. So
now let's talk about the offensive game plan, because Tennessee was dead set determined that they were going to blitz from every angle, any which way possible, right? They were trying to disguise the covers that they were playing cover 2 in the back, and they would switch to cover 1 and the safety would come up. You had corners coming off the blitz. You had blitzes inside the inside A gaps. You had blitzes all over the place, right? Kind of kudos to the offensive line for kind of holding up a little bit, right? There are plenty of times they were beat. But what it did do is that it shifted the pocket left and right, made Josh uncomfortable. This I do put on the back of Dable and on Josh a little bit, because you have to recognize this. This happened, this exact same thing happened in the Pittsburgh game last year, where Pittsburgh tried blitzing all over the place. And in the first half, Buffalo was rattled, right? But they made adjustments, and they determined that the quick pass, right, those drag routes, those slants, the zags, all of those were wide open, right? And once you started doing that, and in the Pittsburgh game, then all of a sudden the Steelers are like, we're getting killed, right? Because the 3-yard reception is turning into 11, 12 yards, right? And you're just moving right down the field. The Steelers came out of that, gave Josh more time, more protection, and they were able to then really implement their game plan. Buffalo didn't do that. And in as much as they didn't do that, they still were offensively successful. But I'd like to see, especially when you're able to rely on past experiences, to be able to bring that, and it doesn't always have to be against Pittsburgh, use that against the particular defenses that are stopping you. All right, Stevie D. That's some of what I needed to get off my chest. I know you had some things you'd like to say, and I'm ready for you.
Well, just let me.
Is this part of the interruption?
No, but it's more of, I'm disappointed in your Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry.
And why are you disappointed?
I'm disappointed because they are a much better football team than Tennessee Titans, and I thought that was a game that they could have had. I think it sets them back a little bit in the AFC. It brings the Chiefs back up now at 3-3. They're 4-2, and I know the Ravens are 5-1, but I just thought there was an opportunity for Buffalo to keep that separation. I don't know if I believe in the Ravens all the way through 17 games, but I do know what the Chiefs can do. And they'll get right at some point of the season. And I just think that with that loss, instead of having a 2-game lead on the Chiefs, you actually a 3-game lead because you beat them head to head. Now you only have a 2-game, and as the season goes on, that may come back and bite you in the butt. So I was disappointed there that they let that game get away, because I just think they're a better football team than what they showed on Monday night. But
Stevie D, let's look at the numbers. And we did this off air line, whatever. We're in week 6, right? Of a 17
matters, though.
17 game season. It does. I know that I joked and in jest I said 17-0, right? But I do that every year, right? I'm gonna say it. But in all reality, when I looked at the schedule, I knew that this was a tough game. I knew that last week's game was a tough game. I know that there's a couple other games on the schedule that are going to be tough games. Does that mean that this team is not going to be where they need to be at the end of the year? No. You had a victory over the Chiefs that many people thought that they would lose to the Chiefs before the season started. But those same people also thought that they were going to beat the Titans. Playing Tennessee, yes, you won that game. Good kudos, right? But playing Tennessee is not an easy victory, right? They're a good team. They have the best running back in the game, right?
Can we talk about Derrick Henry for a second?
Sure.
During that telecast, when they were talking about his workouts, I am going to come clean on Derrick Henry. I was never a Derrick Henry fan in college at Alabama. I don't like pretty much anything with Alabama except for the guy behind me.
Hey, Maryland.
I didn't like him in college. I didn't think he was going to be all that in the NFL. He started off slow in the NFL.
Yeah,
but
true.
Wow, am I wowed by Derrick Henry in these last handful of years? Just wow, and his work ethic and his training and wanting to be great is absolutely incredible. It truly. Did you see that drill that he had, jumping on one leg and doing a stiff arm and keeping his balance? Are you freaking kidding me with that? Oh my God! Like he's just unbelievable. And so I do feel like I had to be honest and talk about Derrick Henry because I wasn't a believer in Derrick Henry coming out of college in his first couple of years. I'm like, yeah, I told you this guy was going to be good, and then oh my Lord!
And you have to give him the respect. I mean, if you look at, they showed his yards per carry per quarter, right? 2 yards per carry in the first, like 3 yards per carry in the second, goes to like 5 in the third, and 7 right in the fourth, right? And he's so big, so fast, so strong that he wears defenses down.
Yes. Yeah.
However,
when I watched him against the Jets, he went up the middle and he didn't have success. Then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We're going to fool you. Think we're just going to run up the middle. And then they were doing the tosses and the sweeps, and he got outside the tackles. Oh, he's like unstoppable. Yeah.
If he hits that cutback, like how he scored on us, right? He had the veer and then cut back. It was that one cut. But he can be stopped, right? He absolutely can be stopped. Tennessee can be stopped. But as I was saying, they're a great team. So, if we lose, we're supposed to lose to Kansas City, but we're supposed to beat Tennessee, what does it matter? We're still at the same spot.
I don't subscribe to that.
Well,
because
do you subscribe that you should win 17 games?
No, I subscribe.
So you're going to have a loss.
Sure, you're going to have bumps. Sure, you're going to have bumps. But
and I'd much rather you have a bump against a middle to higher echelon team than losing to the Jets, losing to the Dolphins.
You'll give the Buffalo Bills all the pass in the world. You won't hold them accountable. It's a game they should have won.
I absolutely hold them accountable.
That game.
I absolutely hold them accountable.
In the position,
but I'm not taking away from the team that they played. Right? Defensively, they struggled, and they struggled mightily. The reason why they struggled, and I told you this earlier, is that they had an opportunity to put this game away in the first quarter. They were in the red zone twice and came away both times with field goals. Right? You convert those field goals into touchdowns. Derrick Henry is no longer the factor that he was in the game. You defensively can play your game, and Ryan Tannehill is not going to win a game. A.J. Brown was struggling because they said he had food poisoning, struggling until really the fourth quarter, but the second half. You had who's the other receiver they had?
Julio Jones.
Julio, yeah, he makes a lucky good catch, but
he's a non-factor in that game.
But he's out because he's hurt. They have nobody else behind them, and they would have to have run with Henry. But now all of a sudden, Henry's not a factor because when you're down by that much, you can't just pound the ball. You can't use that for your play action. So Buffalo missed a golden opportunity and allowed that game to stay close, right? Whether it be 17-13 or, whatever score period you wanted, it was still too close, and the margin for error was too small. That game was lost in the first quarter. Wasn't lost by Josh. It wasn't lost by the Henry run. It was lost then.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying about the 17 games, but it is 17 games, and it's not 162 games like baseball or 81 in hockey and basketball. You get 17 games, and it's a game that was winnable up front in that first quarter. It was winnable at the end. If you make that play, you win that football game. Well,
sure.
You like to think you'd win that football game, that something weird wouldn't happen, like another, should I say, lateral.
Go ahead and say the lateral, because speaking of the lateral.
So hold on here, right? I know I said my point before, but I don't want to say it's okay because we beat Kansas City. It's now watched with Tennessee. Every game is important. And when you have a game and you're there and you're at the end and you have 4th and inches, yeah, it didn't happen. You let one get away that's important. Because when you're in, like, if you played a team and you just got washed out, right? You're talking to, you laid an egg, you lost 30-3, it all didn't click, whatever happened, and you got blown out. I can handle a blowout. But when you have a game and you're there and you had those opportunities and you should have won that football game and you let it get away, there's a big difference of being 5-1 and 4-2. Right? Because now you lost your tiebreaker with Tennessee if anything goes wrong. Because you never know what's going to happen. And now all of a sudden you lost that tiebreaker with Tennessee when look, I'm not a Buffalo Bill fan. I'm not pretending to be a Buffalo Bill fan. But the reality is as far as football is concerned, the Buffalo Bills team, in my view, is the clear-cut best team in the AFC. If you're talking football, they're clear-cut the best team, all-around team. Kansas City has their problems. They're probably number 2. Right? We all know what's happening with Cleveland. We're going to get into them in a little bit. Tennessee, yes, they're 4-2, but should have been 3-3. Right? You can say, well, they lost to the Jets and they beat Buffalo, and that's a wash. No, it's not. It's not a wash. Right? It's inexcusable for the Tennessee Titans to lose to the New York Jets. Inexcusable. I don't care that they were out 2 wide receivers. Every team's got to deal with injuries. Shouldn't have lost that football game. If you want to be a serious team in the NFL, and that's why I say Buffalo should have won that game, been 5-1, had a 3-game lead on the Kansas City Chiefs, because that team, to me, poses the greatest risk to the 1 seed in the AFC for the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think Kansas City does. I hear a lot of what you're saying, CVD. I really do. And, it's hard to argue that point, especially when you have a team that could have and should have had the lead when the clock hit all zeros. Don't disagree with that. But I am not as disappointed as you're making it sound. And I'm not using the excuse of, you won this, you lost that. What I am saying is that there are situations and things that occur throughout a 16, 17 game season. It does happen. You have to learn from it. Last year, you had the Hail Murray, right? You had that game won. You had 3 defenders around DeAndre Hopkins, right? They made a play, right? You shrug it off, but you think we should have won that game,
right?
We got
opportunity for home field advantage. You only get 1 team. Every game matters when you're paying for the top of the conference.
If we would have won that game, and all the dominoes fell the way that they did, we would have had home field advantage in the championship game last year.
And we don't know how important that is to play.
Right, and that cost us. I get that. And this one potentially could cost us from a Week 6 game. I get that. You don't want to lose. But losing is part of the game. And what's even more important is what happens after you lose the game, right? What lessons did Josh learn? What lessons did Dable learn? What lessons did Leslie Frazier learn? And what lessons did Sean McDermott learn? Right? There's a lot to go around because you had the number 1 defense in there for all extensive purposes. You got blown out, right? You gave up more points in that game than you did all year, right? They went up and down the field. They scored on 6 consecutive drives. That's unheard of. right? So Leslie Frazier, you need to figure out what's going on with your front four that you had this rotation where nobody was getting the pressure. That defensive line was silent. The only person I saw making plays was Tremaine Edmonds. But he's running sideline to sideline and trying to come up to make tackles on Derrick Henry. The secondary making plays, right? But something was going on. That defense was not the defense we know. Now, we know Dawson Knox got hurt, but he got hurt a little bit later on in the game. But offensively, Beasley was a beast early. And then all of a sudden, he kind of goes away a little bit. And then you bring him back. You feed him the ball. You feed him the ball. You have to get into the other team, take advantage of their weakness. And if they're giving you the weakness, which was short, underneath, and you just hit him and let him do it, right? These are things that I'm hoping that is a takeaway from this game that you learn so that next time, especially when you start playing the upper echelon playoff type games, that you can look back on this and you can say we're better and we're stronger and we're more prepared. So that's why you're at week 6, you're not going to hear me complain too much. If it's week 15 or week 16 and we're still struggling and we need help, right? You need this team to lose and you got to win by this many, and then I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, yeah, you're right. I'm very disappointed that we lost week 6. But I'm willing to sacrifice that if for the greater good that we have learned and we've gotten stronger and better.
You take that sacrifice, and now all of a sudden your potential AFC championship game's on the road and you lose again. You'll be singing a different tune. You're like, man, I can't believe I let that game away.
We're not going to lose again.
Okay.
Home or away, baby. Because after the Cardinals, I don't know. After that Hail Murray, we ran the table.
Oh God, there you go. You're not running no table. All right, you got 2 games against the Jets. You're not running no table.
Oh, that's right. We're just going to drop tables all over the place. Bills Mafia, baby. We love going through tables. We're busting the table every day. Show that IQ, baby. Show that IQ. Let's go through some tables. There we go. So, you wish you had tables there to go through.
What fan tried to go through a table this year and it didn't work out? Did somebody try? An opposing team?
They all try it.
No, it was this year though. I did see one this year where they tried to do one and it was an epic fail. Oh.
So rumors, Stevie D, right? Remember that song, Rumors?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we got rumors.
You were dating now.
We've had rumors for how long for this one? This is your boy,
Deshaun Watson.
No, number 1 in your program and number 1 in your heart, Tua Tagovailoa.
You set me up to fail on that one. That's not right. When you're talking about a trade, he's not a headliner.
He really isn't the headliner. He's like the throw-in part of the trade.
Yeah, I mean the rumors are really coming fast and furious right now. That a deal, it's almost like it feels like it's imminent, but they're not using the word imminent, right?
Right.
But there's a trade on the table. It sounds between the Dolphins and the Texans, and
And then there's the potential for the I've been trying. So I saw it one time that it's a 3-way deal. Washington football team, the Texans, and the Dolphins. I haven't been able to find any other sources to confirm that it's a 3-way deal.
How does Washington involve? They get Tua? They trying to trade for Tua?
I cannot explain that. Oh. But rumors are.
But here's the interesting, funny part. I guess it's not funny if you're Deshaun Watson, right? But this goes to the dysfunction of the NFL. I truly believe the NFL and the Texans are in a cahoots to say you're not allowed to play Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson's come out and said, I'm never going to play for you again. But in fairness, the Texans, he can say that all he wants. They can put him in uniform and whatnot and force him to not to play and to suspend him without pay, right? If you're the Texans organization, why wouldn't you force that where I don't have to pay him? So you're not going to dress, you're not going to play. Well, now that's, conduct on whatever they want to call it. And now we're going to suspend you without pay because conduct, that's hurting the team, right? Whatever that terminology, I forget what they use for that. So I really believe that the NFL and the Texans are in cahoots where they're saying to the Texans, you're not allowed to play him. We're not going to suspend him, but you're not allowed to play him. Well, okay, Goodell, who's going to pay the salary? Oh, don't worry. We're going to spend all these fools for late hits, and we'll just collect that money. We'll pay you on the back end, right? Because
that's why we instituted the taunting rule.
Right. The taunting rule – that's a good point. The taunting rule is paying for Deshaun Watson's contract this year. Now, in all intents and purposes, this is a 6-week suspension so far. That's the way I look at it, right? Now he gets traded. Now the Dolphins are not making this trade to have him sit on the sidelines, right? And I don't think Watson's game ready. You make that trade, he's not game ready. I mean, that's a hamstring waiting to happen, right? Look at Richard Sherman. He played 2 quarters and he's out, right?
Right.
We didn't see that.
I'm not laughing at the injury. I'm really not laughing at the injury, but you're right.
You had to know that was happening. That was going to be a possibility that a hamstring was going to go. It happens to all these guys that hold out. And this poor guy's sitting on the sidelines because he don't have a team, and he pulls a hamstring. Anyway, I digress. They make that trade. You don't think the NFL is going to say, whoa, wait a minute now. Now that he's got a team that he wants to play for, now we're going to put out the commission exemption list. And here lies the problem I have with the NFL. And they pick and choose. If you truly have a problem with Deshaun Watson, he should have been suspended right now. He should have been suspended already. Not after a trade when there's a possibility he could play, and then you put him on the exempt list. And that's the problem I have with the NFL and the double standards and how they make up their own rules with it. Deshaun Watson is not guilty.
I don't think he's going to be suspended. I don't think they've already investigated. They pressured these women into some serious questions and allegations.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm just saying that the NFL
I'm not saying guilt or innocent,
right?
But I don't think there's enough there for them to actually suspend him.
Wait until groups of people start going after the NFL saying you can't play him, blah blah blah.
Well, and to your conspiracy theory is now the suspension. Is it a 6-game suspension at which after week 6, all of a sudden we have trade rumors that are running about? Tua was out. You played with Jacoby Brissett. If any time you were going to make a trade, you knew Jacoby Brissett wasn't the guy. You would have had this early. You let your whole season go in the toilet, and now you want to make the trade?
How do I say this? I don't believe in Tua, so I don't believe what I'm about to say. The Dolphins are trying to figure it out. Can he get it done? He's not going to get it done, and they're going to make the trade, but maybe they felt like, well, we wasted a pick on Tua, and we have to at least give him a shot, and at 1-4, or whatever their record is, 1-5, there's nothing there. So they're going to move on.
Yeah, but you had Jacoby Brissett for week 2 through 5.
Yeah, well, again, Tua got hurt on the cheap shot from the Buffalo Bills, right? I said that out loud.
I don't know why I do this. I have no idea why I do this. It's tough enough that you have to deal with all these Brady fans, all over the place. And now here I am on my podcast, and having to take this from a TB12 lover. Oh yeah.
All right, you got me. All right. Not many people can shut me up, but okay, you won that one. I tipped the hat. But no, and seriously, I just wonder now if they really, really believe it now after X amount of weeks that he's truly not the answer. They had to give it a go because he was such a high-rated pick. Now they just look. I saw him throw that out he was rolling out to his left.
That's what I'm talking about, Terry. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Look, Terry, that was not directed at you, Terry. Okay? This was directed at Vince, who likes to – you understand all the stuff that happens off camera. Okay? All right? You see the good in Vince right here. Right? But when the cameras are off, he takes his shots all the time. And so every once in a while, I have to give him back. So that was not directed at you, Terry. It was directed at him. or him, right? Point that direction. But I just think now is the time to pull that trade. And I think that's what the Dolphins are thinking. He's just not the guy. I mean, I watched him throw that out on his side, throwing to hit the left side of the field. It took like 2.5 weeks to get there. The safety must have fell because I don't know how the safety didn't come up. It was in the air for so long. And he's just not the answer at quarterback, and they have to pull that trade.
I don't want to make this a Tua show, but I do. I in that national championship game, when he came in, right, put Hurts to the bench. Sorry, Jay. Put Hurts to the bench. And he made that pass. I mean, on the money with some zip behind it. And he was just a freshman. And now you look at him and he throws the ball. And he really does. He may have. I know he had the hip.
Oh, it was the hip that kept him sideline, not a shoulder.
That was the big one. But he may, because again, he was a freshman when he came in for that. So I don't know. But again, not to make this a Tua show, it's the trade, and it's going to be interesting. While you were talking, I was looking up, in SI.com has reference to a 3-way deal, including the Washington football team. They also have it potentially with the Denver Broncos, which, I know JB is going to be a little upset because that means that Drew Lock is going to be replaced by, Teddy Bridgewater too, but Drew Lock would be replaced by Tua. That would be interesting. A running quarterback for JB? Could you compare him to Lamar Jackson? 3 running backs in the backfield over there?
Well, JB is now, he's traded in his Kansas City Chiefs for the Orange Crush.
Hey, absolutely. Yeah, he wants to be the new barrel man.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. He said this, right? That he wanted to move to Denver to be closer to the Broncos. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
he's trading in the red. He said, you know what? The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes just can't get it done anymore, and I'm leaving.
I heard some whispers of that. And because he was so entrenched as a Kansas City fan, that's why he dropped off the podcast. He didn't want people to know. Well, now we've outed you. Now we've outed you.
Yeah. Sorry, JB. We did you wrong, but,
So, Stevie D, we're talking about some injuries. We're talking about things that are going on. And we have to at least make reference to the Cleveland Browns, right? Who I affectionately call the team that is the mistake by the lake Browns, right? But when you look at what's going on there, I almost have a bit of sympathy because you want to talk about decimated by injuries. Your entire backfield, right? Your starting backfield, which is your quarterback and your 2 running backs, are both out. Or all 3 of them are out.
That's that song by Jay-Z. It's a hard luck life for us. It's a hard luck life, right? And that's the Cleveland Browns. Because just when you think you're turning a corner as an organization, you make the playoffs finally, you win a game, you're going into the season on a high, you got all these named players, and then bam, in a blink of an eye, they're all gone. I mean, all of their skill, so many skill players are out. It's just
Baker Mayfield out, Nick Chubb out, Kareem Hunt out, Odell Beckham Jr. questionable, Jarvis Landry injured reserve out. Now that your skilled position players, that's all of them. All of them. I mean, you're going to be playing with Dearness Johnson and Demetric Felton and John Kelly. Oh, that's for those of you who do the daily fantasies, those are the names to pick up, right? Because they're the $3,000 players that you can get on the low so that you can go get the Josh Allens and the Stephon Diggs of the world that are $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. I'm just kidding.
Is Diggs playing this year?
Who?
Diggs? Is he playing for the Bills this year?
You mean the guy that had a great game this past game?
No, because there's another Diggs that plays football that's got more touchdowns than Stephon Diggs.
They're actually tied. They're tied. Please.
Oh, Diggs got a touchdown this week?
Where's your intern? Because we need your stat checks to be up to speed.
So it's 2-2?
It is 2-2. It is 2-2. Disproportionate between offense and defensive touches. But one guy, we already talked about, his brother's having a phenomenal year, right? Phenomenal year. But, so you look at this. I mean, and this is just on the offensive side, and we haven't even talked about the linemen. I mean, it is insane. And they can't withstand this. They really can't. And so this means that Baltimore and Cincinnati basically are just going to run. Sorry, Pittsburgh. Baltimore and Cincinnati are going to run through this, and really Baltimore's going to run through it. Baltimore's going to have, to your point earlier about a bad loss, right? In all fairness, Baltimore sitting at 5-1. What's happening in that AFC North, and especially with all these injuries, that gap's going to be 3 or 4 games. They're going to run away with it.
Yeah. I honestly, I like Cincinnati. I mean, I like what they're doing. I do. That's another team that's turning a corner and it's becoming. I mean, the AFC is really turning into the power conference with some really good young quarterbacks, young teams turning a corner.
You got Herbert. That's
another bad loss by them. They let that one go there.
That's an East Coast, West Coast, West Coast, East Coast. That's what I could chalk that up to because they did not show up. That's for sure. They did not show up. But
I mean, what was it, 34-6 or something? Now it worked well in one of my fantasy leagues. I was going up against Herbert, and I was like, "Oh man, he's got Herbert." I mean, he had all these really good stud players. I mean, he had Fournette that went off in this one league with a lot of points. I'm like, oh my god, now he's got Herbert. I'm not going to win this game. But Herbert did nothing. I was like, ooh, I got a chance, and I wound up winning the week. But yeah, Herbert, that was not good.
So as we get ready to wrap this one up, we do have to congratulate Urban Meyer. Urban got his first victory of the season. You know, for Urban, he needed somebody to take the attention away from him, right? Needed to be able to focus in on football. And even at that, they tried to give it away, right? And left it up to the kicker to bail them out. But finally, they got their
club after the game. Did he go to the club?
Low blow. You know,
he went
Tebow called him.
You don't think he was going to give up the club, international clubs? Come on.
Tebow called him, right? He had to take the transatlantic type phone call, and he was just like, "Coach, I know you want to do it. Please don't." John 3:16, and that's the way that happened.
I wonder if he asked Khan if there's a Mons Venus over there in London.
He may have asked him. He told him, "You can't go. You are staying. You're going back to go visit the Queen. Let's call it a day."
Or maybe he could have reached out to Robert Kraft to see if there was any good massage, parlors after the victory, relieve all that, stress and tension he had.
We need that soundboard. I don't know where the soundboard is. We need that soundboard. Stevie D is firing off some scuds left and right. And the last but not least of the show is Aaron Discount Double Check Rodgers. You're playing the Bears, Aaron. You're playing the Bears. We own you. I own you. It's the Bears.
Yeah, well, he did come out in the week and say that's the one franchise he would never play for.
So we have to call a timeout here.
Lamar knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but he knows the real place. He knows the real place, and if he is still on, he will admit to the real place. There's only one. International. It is located in Niagara Falls. Do I need to help you out, El? Because I know right? There's only one place. Better than Mons. Better than whatever. Scores.
Rachel's in West Palm Beach?
Better than Rachel's. There's only one place. If you're from the 716 or the 416, if you're anywhere in that vicinity, Come on, Al, we're waiting on you. The Sundowner. It is the Sundowner. International. It's international.
Well, it's on the Canadian border.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's sundown in Toronto.
What do you mean that's right?
Is that on the New York side or is that on the Canadian side?
Oh, that's on the Canadian side.
In Toronto.
No. That's in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Niagara Falls. Wait, we may have to have a show that is all the review, right?
Oh no.
Dave. See, everybody from the 716 knows what I'm talking about.
It's funny. Now all the guys are chiming in right now.
There's only one spot. I'm telling you. This place is legendary. And what we need to do, we could do a show on this, right? We could, we would just change the rating, right? Maybe PG-17, something like that, and just they're chiming in at Stevie D. When I tell you legendary, everybody knows, right? You see, I told you, we all know it's legendary. But I mean, you had your choice.
You
I really want to save this show because the rating.
Soundboard. Wait a minute. You're telling me I needed the soundboard? It sounds like I'm going to need the soundboard for you here in a second.
Yeah, I
can't. Grin. You got that grin.
Oh, yeah. It's bringing back memories, right? He's driving across the border. Oh, but, the rating for the show from the beginning up until now, we've been good, right? Yep. And I don't want to ruin it. So we're going to have a separate show. Everybody come on back. Right? Everybody come on to the show. Because at this place, there was a downstairs. Oh, I'm going to tell you. Oh, my goodness. Anyways, I digress.
You better hope your mother's not listening right now.
Oh, shit. No. She's out of it. As long as we keep both the rents away from this one. But so what are your thoughts on this? I mean, in all fairness, you're kicking the Bears while they're down. Right? Oh, another one.
It's a rival.
Hey, here's another one from the 716. Hey, Corey, appreciate you. It's a rival, but I mean, is it necessary?
It's fun. He's having fun with the fans. Why not?
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. If you listen to some of the media heads that are out there, Oh, L, you went there. We're trying to make this a family show. We're trying to make this.
Hey, you might get the statistician on the show. I'm just going to say.
But no, if you listen to all the talking heads that are out there, right, and maybe it's just the Aaron Rodgers haters, right, that are coming at him, attacking him, for no reason, right? If anything, he had fun with the fans there of Chicago, right? Leave it at that. Fans get to boo. You get to say something back, right? And it's part of the rivalry. It's part of the Packer-Bear rivalry. I don't have an issue with it. I'm actually glad he did it, right? If I can't Lambo leap in there, I'm going to score and tell you that I own you. And, oh, by the way, discount double check, baby.
State Farm appreciated that.
Jake. So listen, we're gonna wrap this one up. For my Bills, to your point, a loss is not a good loss, but I will take this one as long as we learn from it. Again, another point that I'm going to bring. You asked me 10 out of 10 times, we're going for it. I'm not kicking the field goal for the tie. I'm going for the win. Agreed. And Josh, just keep continuing to improve. That's all of you ask. Let the game slow down. And we'll be okay. I have no worries about some of the other teams that are there in the conference. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to take it one game at a time. I said this all along. One game at a time, and we'll get through this, right? We're not in a slump, right? We lost to a good team, but we see where we need to improve in the running game. There it is. We need to improve it in the run defense, right? Because you saw Henry, the way it's that single cut over pursuit, right? As long as you have those guys that are doing their responsibility, those lanes and those gaps don't open up. And you have to continue the rotation. I'm not worried about that. And we will see the Jets when we see them end of the year. Who go figure how they do the schedule, right? We don't play it till the end of the year, but I guess they figured that it doesn't matter, right? We're playing the Jets. Who cares? Just put them the end of the year. Maybe that's what it is. But we're in the bye week right now. Get to heal up.
Pray. You better hope and pray, man. You better hope and pray.
I am not gonna waste my hope or my prayers on a Jet game. I'm not wasting it on that, right? When the exhibition game comes, then maybe I'll use it then. All right, but I'm not wasting my hope and my prayers there. But all right, CBD, I got a bye week. You're back off your bye week. For many people in fantasy football, this is bye week hell. Because everybody's on a bye week this week, right? Oh, coming in late. Saving the day. Saving the day. There she is. I didn't know what happened to her. Thought maybe on a work trip, There she is. She's got your back.
Buffalo Bills talk. She was staying back behind. Like, oh.
She's got your back. But, so, again, we're on a bye week. You're back off the bye week. I guess – as part of this conversation, we'll wish you all the best.
As the lights get turned out, yeah.
Yeah, they're calling me off the stage. They're telling me I gotta go. Stevie D, anything for our friends out there?
No, man. Have a great week.
Absolutely. So, again, we appreciate all of the participation we had on the show. If you guys, want to give some topics or want to chime in, any comments that you have for us, we'd love to hear it. You hit us up at Twitter, at Real OWSports, Instagram, OWSports, and, of course, here on Facebook, Official Word Sports. You can also listen to us from the audio version, which, by the way, I've been trying to encourage the folks there in the office. I just tell them, hey, no need to put anything on that TV. You don't need that third monitor. Change that to the smart app. Go get the streaming app, and you can go listen to the podcast.
There you go.
Hey, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Up and down. If you go up and down the offices on my floor, each office, it starts with one. Stevie D, hint, it starts with one.
Right.
I started the trend. You go from my office to the next. There it is. Now, sometimes they turn it off when I cut in and then try to turn it back on, but it's great, right? I'm trying to get the whole senior leadership to get in and buy into this. We get this, and then we'll go from city to city. That's the goal. But as I was saying, if you want to listen to the podcast, go to one of your favorite podcast platforms. We're out there. You'll find us. Look for Official Word Sports. Of course, we're on YouTube, so you can check us out there. So we want to hear from you. Make this more interactive. We have fun with it. Probably next week we're going to have Jay on to talk about his Eagles, talk about Jalen Hurts, talk about how he missed out on a trade of Deshaun Watson, all that good stuff. Jay came to me today asking about Mitch Trubisky. I know. Like, I would make that phone call back to the Eagles to give up Mitch Trubisky. That is the steal of the offseason. Sorry, Jay. You stick with Jalen Hurts. Just leave it at that. All right, Stevie D, while you have that perplexed look, for my co-host Stevie D, I'm Vince. We'll talk to you soon.